Kyler Murray's not feeding any of the narratives going into week 4 against his former head coach, Kliff Kingsbury, and how K1 and Marvin Harrison Jr. get on the same page. We hear from both of them, and it's me and my best friends, Johnny, Venerable, Damon, Dawg, and all of you right now, PHNX Cardinals. Let's go!
Hey, welcome in live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. This fine program today brought to you by our friends at Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use the bonus code PHNX365 when you sign up. Choose your offer. Find out why it's never ordinary, even for a minute, with our friends at Bet365. Arizona Cardinals currently a 3-point favorite against the Washington Commanders coming into town. That's the headline. What's the sub-bullet? It's Kyler Murray versus his ex-head coach, the ex that scorned him, maybe? Kliff Kingsbury with Jaden Daniels, Brack, Damon, Dawg. The takes are flying, but here's what K1's not going to do. He's not going to feed into the narratives.
No, not at all. He's even said that he's seen Kliff Kingsbury since the breakup, right? He's seen him around town for the most part, and he's just probably, standard X conversation like, hello, you look well. Good to see you. I hope everything's going good on your end. Nothing but some small talk, I'm sure. And the Arizona Cardinals are locking in to get back to 500 because that's the main focus this week for the Redbirds. Like, you can look at all these different storylines. It's a homecoming for an ASU outcast who went on to find stardom, Heisman Trophy award-winning quarterback Jaden Daniels, who was on full display as your NFC Player of the Week last week for the NFL. And then you've got Kliff Kingsbury, who's finding success post-Cards career so far through 3 weeks of play in the 2024 season. So you start to sift through that, and you see a team that is focused, right? As Jonathan Gannon always likes to say, on the process from week to week, they try to keep it the same, win or lose. And here they are now going into, as the weekend draws closer, locking on what's most important, and that's to get a win and avoid a 1-3 start.
There's so many kind of sub-bullet headlines to this game beyond just Cardinals Commanders. There's the expectation that this is a game you should win given the state of your rebuild versus what Washington is doing. There's an expectation that Kyler Murray is a better quarterback than Jaden Daniels, which he is. So you should have the advantage there. We both feel like Jonathan Gannon, you have a coaching advantage in this matchup. You're at home. You have the better roster. I mean, like we talked about it yesterday, outside of defensive tackle, probably you would take all the ingredients for Arizona over Washington. This is going to be a direct barometer, a measuring point for K1JG and this entire regime that they have. I don't even want to call it a rebuild. Like what you're striving to be by the end of this year, what you feel like is going to be the foundation of this bird, of the Arizona Cardinals for the foreseeable future. Does it have the goods? Because if you come out and you look stoic offensively again, if your defense regresses after, I think, 2 nice performances, if you give this home crowd that wants a reason to wrap their arms around you and sell out State Farm Stadium, if you give them rationale to think otherwise, it's going to be a clear indictment of what you're doing. We can say all the, the right things in press conferences, and, we can be excited here on the show, and people can go get merch, maybe not Marv merch, but they can go get merch about this team, and they can talk about the young players. But it's about winning these kind of games, right? Because there are going to be games we preview on this show, like San Francisco, like Green Bay, where it's going to be difficult, right? They have an opportunity, but it's going to be difficult. This needs to be as close of a layup, of a dub, given what Washington is trotting out that you have on your schedule all year. Because, Bo, if it's not, it begin to question everything with regard to what the Cardinals want to be moving forward. And it's as simple as Kyler Murray needs to be the franchise quarterback that we all know he can be, a la week 2, and be undeniable against a rebuilding Washington team.
Yeah, and it would do so much harm, I think, as far as where your actions don't match your words. And this isn't the organization going out there and saying things that create bulletin board material or put them in a position to look bad if they drop to 1-3 and lose to Kliff Kingsbury. But I think that when you just look at the circumstances where Washington is, and they hit the reset button on mostly their entire franchise. They got a new ownership. They bring in new staff. They get rid of Riverboat Ron. They get a brand new shiny toy quarterback in there, Heisman Trophy winner. You didn't know how his game was going to translate. And then they bring, the failed college and NFL coach in as their OC, give him the opportunity that people envision as his best spot to succeed at any level in football as an offensive play caller. And like the guys that you chose to shift in change directions, like you have to prove that you're better than that and ahead of that, because you're a year ahead roster wise, staff wise. And, you should be better as far as just the scheme goes. Like Jonathan Gannon and Nick Ross's defense should be able to draw up enough series wins to get his defense off the field and not look like the last 2 defenses have against the Commanders and not been able to force a punt and avoid points.
Yeah, and I don't think you can sit here and say, like, this is just one game. It doesn't, it's not an indictment if they lose. Like, no, you have your major players. Like, we're going to talk about the losses they've sustained defensively. They had another hit today, and Justin Jones being out for the year. Kelvin Beachum, Trey McBride, are they going to play? Shouldn't matter. Honestly, like I look at Washington and their players, they're old and they're unproven, right? Zach Ertz and Bobby Wagner in 2024 are key players for Washington. Austin Eckler is not going to play this weekend for Washington. Outside of Terry McLaurin, they don't have a second receiver, right? Their offensive line is out.
McCaffrey.
Yeah. What are we doing? Like, this is a game in which, like, if you can't prepare, and I think they are, I think they're going to win handedly, but we're just talking in generalities. I'm speaking to devil's advocate here. There should be immense pressure to be as locked in as possible if you're K1 and JG this week. Not locked in other weeks. I don't want to insinuate any of that, but this is a taking care of business game. There is no reality in which you allow the ex-head coach of this franchise, which fair enough, is a great guy, great human being. Let's put that off.
Right.
Who was not qualified at the end of his tenure to lead this franchise. He is now on his rehabilitation tour as a football coach and probably will get interviews again. You cannot be the linchpin of, you know what, Kliff is actually good at his job. The Cardinals, they have the issues, right?
Right.
You can't allow that narrative to run wild. You can't allow the narrative of, yeah, you know what? He had Kyler Murray, and he's leveled up with Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is actually better than K1. Look at this. They're going to go to the playoffs with a bad roster as a rookie in the NFC East. You have to put all of that to bed, because if you enable that, then we're going to have to sit here and we're going to have to eat crow on Monday morning and talk about where is this franchise going at 1-3, losing to Kliff and Jaden Daniels.
Right, because I think that there's 3 different paths you can take as an organization in a rebuild, right? There's the exceptional team builders with great coaching staff, great general manager, where they can be ahead of schedule, right? And that's like, those are the exceptions. It's tough to find those. They exist, right? We've seen it. Teams go from worst to first all the time in this league, right? But it takes exceptional team builders in a good vision from the coaching staff, and then also hitting on some roster personnel things. And then you've got, the teams that are steady, that follow. Like, if you just do this, if you do things, you hit on premium positions, you got the quarterback situation figured out, you have good coaching, that you can stay on this steady trajectory up and get yourself back to relevancy. And then there's the third part of this, where you're maybe not what you thought you were.
Right.
And this is where, like, the fear comes into it, like what, picking up the pieces could look like come Monday, like that you just didn't take care of business. If you just took care of business and played your game, because pound for pound, the Cardinals have have a better roster, a better coaching staff, that if they just do their job, they should come out on top on Sunday over a Washington Commanders team. And I know the records reflect differently, but if you just have two eyes and a brain, you'll realize that that the Cardinals should be the better team, should win this football game come Sunday. And if not, it starts to raise a bunch of questions that you don't want to have to start asking because the Commanders and Kliff Kingsbury and Jaden Daniels, ran amok again for a third straight game.
Jonathan Gannon's going to meet with the media regardless of the outcome of this game on Sunday. Kyler Murray is going to meet with the media post-game on Sunday afternoon. The one individual I think that is going to hold responsibility if the Cardinals lose this game that we may or may not hear from, we talked about the first three games, and everybody assumed Cardinals aren't going to win any of these games because of the state of the roster compared to these competitors, right? And they got to play a Rams team that was beat up offensively, and they hung in with Buffalo and they hung in with Detroit. You are ahead of schedule. You have about an 18-month head start over Washington if you're Monty Ossenford. And if you come out, I don't want to hear about injuries, right? I don't want to hear about leftover salary cap, rolling it over into 2025. I don't want to hear about maturation process for the rookies. These are the kind of games you have to win. These are the kind of games where if you're an executive and you're sitting there with Michael Bidwell and you turn to your right and you're losing to Jaden Daniels in your own building, that's a cold, dark reality that I don't think anybody wants to face. Like this is a get right game. We're going to talk to Brian Baldinger here of ALLCITY in a little bit about where the Cardinals maybe can take advantage of Washington defensively. Like it's all set up for you right now. Do you have the goods? I think they do. I have immense confidence in this head coach and this quarterback. But if we allow ourselves to sit here all week and say, easy game, layup, no big deal, and it's the opposite come Sunday, and they don't feel a sense of urgency to take advantage of the situation, like, again, we are going to begin questioning everything. I don't think it's overreaction, by the way. If you start 1-3 and you have a loss to Washington on your resume after the season you had last year where you're doing moral victories and you're trying to get into the good graces, a quarter of the way into this season, you're 1-3 with a loss to Washington with San Francisco on your schedule next. It's going to be a very, very difficult week to endure if you're this franchise.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, it makes, the tandem job interview in tuxedos look a lot weirder after somebody rips a big fart, right? Now it's weird. Get out of my office type stuff. It really does. It puts you and you become skeptical of a lot of the methods, right? I mean, it's very similar. Like when you look at games, measuring stick games, during the previous when Kliff was here, and you're like, okay, this is a team that you should beat, and then you sit there Monday and say, okay, well, what went wrong? What's the issue here? And then those start to kind of pile up. But
it's a great comp.
This is the first time now, and this is the first time since week 2, or the second time, I guess, in the current regime's state or era that they're favored at home. And this is a team that you absolutely just have to win these games to start to go where you want to go. And if you don't, then you're way behind, and the opportunity to finish 500 or better, it starts to slip from your grasp.
But the Cardinals have the X factor in this matchup, like they did last week, like they did the week before. They have the better quarterback in this game. And Kyler Murray, outplayed by Jared Goff, might be a stretch, but Jared Goff ended up being the winning quarterback of that game last week. He got the W. Kyler Murray outplayed Matthew Stafford the week before. Kyler Murray outplays Jaden Daniels on Sunday. Cardinals win this game. You don't have to tell me the score. I know if Kyler Murray goes out there and has a better game than Jaden Daniels, they're going to win this game. They're not going to bungle it Cincinnati style. Speaking of K1, he spoke with the media today, Bo, and I don't know. I saw some of these clips in advance, and just Kyler Murray's demeanor this week. Again, I like it. He's very about face business, no headlines, not feeding into the narrative, not allowing the Commanders to run with anything within their locker room. I can't imagine after what I've seen this week and the previous weeks, K1 not having a big game.
Yeah, Alberto Pan. I think I can help figure out this Pam situation. The chat already crushed it. Step in, Jason, K2, Didi, what's going on? Michael Evans, Johnny, Eli, the whole crew's here. I think I saw Jess. I mean, here's a couple of things, right? Kyler Murray remains in the messaging that he's still encouraged by where his team is through 3 weeks remains, right? But he also, you can tell that he's focused and he doesn't want to start to feed any of this, I'll call them like silly narratives at the end of the day going into this week from his perspective, because as Jonathan Gannon said on Monday, is he knows K1 and he would expect Kyler Murray, what he wants to accomplish facing his ex-coaches, just the norm. He wants to get in a position to play better than last week and get his team to 2-2. So with all that being said, we hear from Kyler Murray and, he's confident but he's also not, just completely turning a blind eye to where they fell short last week. But, he asked about a couple key topics that we were expecting, and I'm sure he was expecting come this week. He was asked about, playing Kliff Kingsbury and how he would approach facing his former coach, Damon. Dawg, if we could see this with Kyler Murray's response on just facing and just focused on winning over anything opposed to just facing his ex-coach.
To be honest, man, and completely honest, like that doesn't, I've done it before. I've competed against, him before, many other coaches that I've been coached by. Doesn't really affect me. My goal is to go out and win the game,
So, like, he's not feeding into it at all. He's not going to give you any kind of bulletin or say any bulletin board material things that, come potentially on Sunday, post loss or whatever. You got somebody reciting in the post game locker room for the winning team. But then again, you have a question about, just the differences. And it was a kind of an honest question for, just the difference, maybe similarities, whatever, how Kliff Kingsbury's system compares to Drew Petzing's current Cardinals system.
Two different systems. Obviously, one, more relying on other things, and another one more relying on other things.
A little wink there at the end there.
Do you know last time Kliff and Kyler faced off in a game? I did some homework, did some research on this fine program.
Okay, so it had to have been in the Big 12, right?
Correct. Yeah, it was in 2018. Mm-hmm. Kyler Murray went with Lincoln Riley and company to Texas Tech on November 3rd. Now, the real question is, had Kliff been fired at that point yet for Texas Tech? I don't believe so.
What time?
This was November 3rd of 2018. Had he been fired yet?
No.
Okay, so he hadn't been fired yet. When did he get fired? Did he get fired like later that month?
That season. I think after that season.
Oh, okay.
Because then he came this.
We got the USC job before that, so there had to have been.
He had that. He never coached for USC.
Well, I know that, but he got hired by the Cardinals
later. When was the date on that, Johnny?
This is what I'm saying. November 3rd at Texas Tech. I almost said the Cardinals. Oklahoma beat Kliff and company 51-46 shootout. Lincoln Riley can't coach defense worth anything, but 51-46 at Jones AT&T Stadium in Lubbock, Texas. When was Kliff Kingsbury fired by Texas Tech? Let me look it up.
November 25th, the day after they lost to Baylor.
Okay, so 2 weeks later. So I was close. Mm-hmm. Literally one of Kliff Kingsbury's last games. The offense, say what you want about Kliff. The offense was humming, during this 3-game stretch. They scored 46, 48, and I'm looking at the wrong team. I'm looking at Oklahoma. Forget what I just said. But yeah, Kyler Murray versus Kliff for the first time in, 6 years? November 3rd, Texas at Texas Tech, 51-46. Couldn't tell you who the QB was for Texas Tech that year.
All right.
So there's some information for you. K1
okay.
looking to go 2-0 against his ex-coach.
Did they not play the previous season? I guess Kyler wasn't even the starter. That would have been Baker Mayfield.
That's right.
Okay. All right.
It's a close one. Are we going to see
I just feel like
this is actually crazy. I believe their quarterback was Alan Bowman, who is the current quarterback at Oklahoma State right now.
No way.
6 years later. Yeah.
No way.
Pretty sure.
How old is he? 30?
He's 24.
Was
Does
he
he look
18?
like Peyton Manning at the Morgan Wallen concert where he's in full uniform and he's a 40-year-old man?
I don't know if you guys saw, but Cam Rising is 25, and Alan Bowman versus Cam Rising was the quarterback matchup last week. People were saying loser has to get a job.
That's the grossest thing I've ever heard in my life. That's awful. I was playing college football against Kyler Murray 6 years ago. Kyler Murray's 26, 27 years old in the NFL.
Was he a true freshman back then?
Yes, I believe so.
He had to have been 17, 18 years old. He had to have been right out of high school. That's like the guy who just wears his varsity Letterman jacket back for all the reunions, the local dive bar. I'm 35 years old. I got my Letterman jacket on. That's what's going down. All right, we're getting off topic here. We got more from K1.
I still don't know what to do with that information you gave me. I feel like my life could have it didn't make an impact whatsoever.
Why don't you just you did the cold open by yourself. You just do the show by yourself. I'm trying to provide value to the show.
Doesn't have
I feel like if you guys, everybody take a poll in the chat. Like, I feel like that's relevant information that hasn't been presented to the mass audience. It's like yesterday when you tried to stifle me talking about Commanders practicing at ASU when that information had been out there. And now I'm trying to give new information to the people, and you're trying to stifle that too. It's like, I'm trying to fly on the show. You won't let me. You're clipping my wings here.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
It's like, I thought you could have said Kliff's offense against trying to keep up with Kyler couldn't stand that attack. But instead you're just like, oh, he actually had a couple, good games here, and, take it how you will.
Damon, what is this guy's deal this week? Trying to tell me how to present my points that I bring onto the show? We'll just retitle this the Bo Brock Show featuring no one, and he'll get up here and give his takes on his own. This is what this week is doing. Tensions are high, emotions are running high right now. This is going to be a barn burner of a game. This is I have no hesitation saying this. This is a must win for Jonathan Gannon and Kyler Murray here in week 4. I love week 4 must wins. I'll double down on that all week. And what it's doing to our relationship right now, I don't like it. I don't like the trajectory.
Is it tearing us apart? I mean, I don't know. Let's get to these super chats. Let's regroup. I see a large one in there. A very generous super chat. Once again, from maybe former Rams running back Steven Jackson.
I wanted to say Steven Jackson, 18th all-time in rushing yards. I think this program needs to start the Hall of Fame. We need to get Steven Jackson the Hall of Fame for what he's been doing the last couple of days.
Well, this Steven Jackson's going to have his avatar here raised to the rafters at PHNX for all these generous super chats. $60, Johnny.
Be careful, Steven Jackson. Pretty soon, Bo will be telling you what to write on your super chats. Disappointing with the loss of Justin Jones, but he appears to have been a swing and a miss by Monty. It's okay. Nobody's perfect, but he can make up for it, though, by bringing in Hassan Reddick. God, this makes so much sense, Steven. This defense needs help right now with the D-Rob uncertainty. You are correct on all fronts. Justin Jones right now had, fair or not, everybody's making a big deal out of the Justin Jones injury, right? And you want to have available bodies. But to Steven's point, 0 impact through 3 games. When you brought him in to do the opposite, you're a vet. You can take your time with some of the younger players. You need to come in here and produce. Goose egg for 3 weeks. Now he's hurt. I don't room for injury. Now he's, 3 years, $30 million. Looks like Monty Ossenford cannot tame the white whale that was Steve Keim's white whale, free agent defensive tackles. There's just been too many swings and misses here. So I do think.
Well, let's be honest here. I mean, free agent defensive tackles are fool's gold for the most part. Name me the last impact one there was that didn't cost you $100 million.
I mean, Cardinals could have signed Calais Campbell about 10 different times since he left Arizona. It would have been a good investment.
Sign me up for a 30, tip of the cap. You love to see it, Calais Campbell.
You're
legend.
rooting against him. Here comes an
He's what is he, the third highest graded defensive lineman?
He's so good.
He's having an unbelievable season for Miami. But
great human being.
You're bringing in Darius Robinson. You got Dante Stills, a second-year player. Do you want him taking snaps away from him? This is a draft and develop team. Their best defensive linemen that they're going to have are going to be drafted by this organization. They're probably not ever going to hit on a free agent defensive line.
Oh, wow.
Sorry to burst your bubble. They tried to find a guy that could play NFL caliber defensive line. Unfortunately, he came out of gates and literally made no impact, and then tore his triceps and is lost for the year. But they brought a guy that they thought they could rely upon on snaps. It's like an innings eater for the most part in Major League Baseball, like from the starting pitcher position. And until they draft and develop guys like Darius Robinson and Stills hopefully continues to trend the right way, I just don't name me a guy that outside Calais who's 38 years old who fits into a rebuild like that.
I don't know. You're putting me on the spot. All I know is Dante Stills immediately came in. He was
doesn't exist.
Yes, I can. He was inactive week 2, promptly came in to fill in, had a sack, had a tackle for loss, had a QB hurry. Like Dante Stills was their best defensive tackle last year, and they're just like, well, you'll be inactive sometimes. Nope, no longer.
We don't know if anything has to do with his shoulder or not.
What, a week ago?
Because he showed like he was inactive, and then that Wednesday he showed up on the injury report with a shoulder.
That's fair. Well, Jalen Blair, $5. Have to have an appropriate fear of Washington. Having an appropriate fear allows you to respect your opponent and know nothing is going to be easy. Well, I don't think that's going to be a problem, Jalen, and I agree with you with Gannon and K1 in this team. Like, if you see Jonathan Gannon the way he operates, they're not taking anybody for granted. Like they are going to be prepared to win this game, and they're going to be prepared for what Washington is going to try to do. But I just have like so much confidence in this. Plays into what we've talked about for 4 days, where big emotional win for Washington, back-to-back road games, an old team, yet a very young and impressionable team, a team that I don't think is particularly well coached, and then an Arizona team that just came off a loss, refocus a little bit, a game you have to have. I don't think Washington will have the same sense of urgency as Arizona. Everything points to a big Cardinal win this weekend. And if it doesn't, then Jalen, you begin to question everything. Like, well, if we can't get up and focus for this game, what are we doing? Where are we going this year in 2024?
Yeah, I mean, I think they watched on Monday and they realized, hey, this is not going to be a team that you can just get the Sharpie out and put, a little notch in the win column. We're going to have to come to play, and that's good. I think that you need to have an appropriate amount of concern for what Washington and Jaden Daniels and Kliff Kingsbury and Dan Quinn can do on both sides of the football. And you're right. You need just enough to make sure you put in the proper amount of preparation, because how often we see in sports, teams get overlooked. They come in and they surprise them. It's trap games at their highest peak.
Gravity 21 $2 super chat. Bo, will the NFL ever have challenges for penalties by the officials?
They did a couple of years ago, at least for pass interference, and it was kind of a disaster. So they immediately switched up and got rid of them.
It's a disaster because the refs don't want to admit when they make mistakes, right? So like if it should hypothetically work fine, but when they go look at the replay and they go, well, I don't want to say that I was wrong.
Right. I mean, I think baseball does it pretty well, and they usually rely upon more of New York in their hub for saying who's wrong or right. You don't have somebody looking into, hey, this, like, they're matching what they saw live versus what they're now seeing in super slow-mo. And then they've got to, put their ego aside or throwing their referee teammate under the bus for getting something wrong. But like, I mean, if we're looking in the case of last week, doesn't even matter. Like, it wasn't a penalty that kind of changed the direction of the game. It was, they just blew the whistle at 2:01 when it wasn't the 2-minute warning.
Everybody drop a like on this video. If you're on Twitter, we got almost 500 people watching already. Jump over to the YouTube stream. Let your voice be heard in the comments. Again, drop a like. And we got Brian Baldinger right around the corner. But K1 was not the only one that spoke today, Bo. As we've become a little bit accustomed to on Wednesdays, little K1 MHJ action. Will that tandem have a big day on Sunday? Marvin Harrison Jr. talked about his progress today, Bo Brack, 3 games into his young NFL season. Let's hear what he had to say.
Yeah, I think I'm getting there, definitely getting there. Getting a chance to be more relaxed, knowing I'm out there, thinking a lot less than probably I had the first 2 games. And I just got to go out there and execute.
Go out there and execute. And then obviously there was the tweet that was going around where Larry Fitzgerald was replying to how similar Marvin Harrison Jr. and Fitz looked. And, Fitz was very complimentary. He was saying, well, he's only 3 games into it. He looks this good. He's doing things that it took me years to accomplish and realize in my own career. And I had asked Marv, what was it like hearing that from Fitz or reading that from Fitz? And this was his answer.
I mean, that means a lot. Obviously, I think I still have a very, very long ways to go to even be in the same conversation as him. So I'll continue to do my job to work as hard as I can and make plays for this team and go from there.
Somebody had a nice follow-up on that tweet that we put out with that video, and it said, "My goats are having a humble off." And I think that's the perfect response there. I mean, you can't find 2 more, especially at a position that is dominated by diva-like behavior. You got 2 guys that are very humble, modest, and focused on producing on the field more so than anything. And it's great to hear that from Marv.
Can I get on my soapbox for 2 seconds here? It has nothing to do with this. But I woke up today and I saw a graphic made by, Joe Blow dummy in New York out east. And it was a quote tweet from a guy by the name of Matt Waldman on Twitter. Are you familiar with him?
No.
So Matt, he's a former scout. He's got about 80,000 followers. He does a nice job doing player breakdowns. His Twitter avatar is a crow. It's a little weird, but he was a big Malik Nabers guy coming out. So of course he's having a field day with Nabers start, which is great. I mean, Nabers has been great, and Giants haven't played anybody yet, and blah blah blah. Okay, but he is using this, and a lot of the Nabers truthers are using this as an opportunity to say that, yeah, Marvin's great, but he is not, and this is Matt's words, on the same level as Malik Nabers. That Malik Nabers is already substantially better than Marvin Harrison Jr. And to that, I just say, it almost got me to the point where I wanted to get off the internet forever. Marvin Harrison Jr. is on pace for 1,200 yards and 17 touchdowns as a rookie.
Right.
And we're doing well. Actually, I was right about my draft take because Nabers has played a softer schedule and he's got more yards and he gets more targets because the Giants don't have any targets. Mm-hmm. And he's been great. We knew that he would be great. We talked about it. It's AJ Green, Julio Jones-esque with these 2 players, right? Why do we, when we compliment one guy, have to tear somebody else down? Is it because he plays in Arizona? Is it because his dad was great and we have to nitpick? You watch those clips of Marvin talking, and literally he would just rather keep to himself. He's about the team. It physically makes me ill where we have had with this franchise so many monumental bust failures of first-round picks. And then there's a guy who's going to come out. He's your number 1 receiver. He's on pace for a historic year. We're like, you know what? Not as good as Malik Nabers. It makes me want to root against Malik Nabers because of these dumb people. So there's my soapbox argument.
I mean, take a bow. I mean, I think I agree. Most of the chat agrees. And this is something that people have been trying to get going since draft season, since pre-draft season, where they thought they saw something that told them that Malik Nabers was kind of an underdog to Marvin Harrison Jr. and then how MHJ navigated the draft process, and they take exception and they wanted to anoint Malik Nabers. And since they dug in on that choice that they've been vocal about on social media, they're going to go and they're going to continue to champion Malik Nabers. The good thing is Marvin Harrison Jr. probably didn't give a crap about that, right? No. And that's what matters. And he continues to produce and has an opportunity to go up against the same Washington defense that Malik Nabers was able to find success for. And I'm sure people, if Marvin Harrison Jr. doesn't do what Malik Nabers did in that game where he had 10 catches, my God, 127 yards and a touchdown, people are going to say, well, MHJ couldn't do it. And that's going to be unfortunate because if the Cardinals get a win and Marvin Harrison Jr. is a part of it, that's all that matters.
Well, and you hit the nail on the head. The biggest trump card is not statistics. It's not analytics, right? Because we know Marvin will perform regardless. It's winning. And it's getting Marvin with Kyler Murray on the relevant national stage where this team is contending for the postseason, not only this year, for every year. We know the Giants are a huge dumpster fire of a franchise. They're one of the biggest joke franchises of the NFL. They have no good players outside of like Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence, and Malik Nabers, right? They have no quarterback.
Damon, are you hearing this, by the way?
They're going nowhere fast. I think there's an opportunity for them.
Crazy.
There's an opportunity for the New York Giants to have the first overall pick. That being said, the Arizona Cardinals, what they can do is, we're going to put Marvin. Marvin will be on national TV when it matters. People will see Marvin dominating playoff teams. That's what's going to give you the cachet. It's the argument I used to make all the time where Troy Polamalu would get a lot of headlines at the same time when Adrian Wilson was great. But Troy Polamalu was on national TV and they were in AFC championship games and they were relevant. The Steeler brand was relevant. Troy Polamalu was in the Hall of Fame. You have to make Marvin relevant with winning football and subsequently Malik Nabers not relevant, loser on a loser team. That's what the Cardinals need to do indirectly. Take care of business, beat the Commanders, right, this weekend. Take care of business against the lowly Commanders who beat the Giants and Malik Nabers, by the way. And we'll look at the Giants at the end of the year and they're 5-12 and they don't matter. So it won't matter.
Not foreshadowing, but I do want, I love everything you said there. I hope you keep that same energy throughout the show. Spoiler alert.
I know what you're alluding to, by the way. As down as I am on the Giants, I'm even more down on another team that just so happens to play tomorrow. Coming up on the show, Brian Baldinger is going to join us, Bo, to tell us why the Arizona Cardinals have to take advantage of the Washington Commanders' lowly defense.
But first, let's talk about the 18 collection.
Let's do that. The number 18 collection. How about that? The Maserati Marv tee. A little bit of MHJ. How about a little bit of math tee, right? 1 + 18 = 6. I'm rocking a t-shirt from the merchandise locker now. It's one of the softest t-shirts I've ever gotten. This whole collection can be yours right now, for the low price of free $99. You become a diehard, get a t-shirt for free. And then, hey, how about that afterwards? 20% off all future orders. Maserati Marv t-shirt, MHJ front and center. You can't get an MHJ jersey yet, but you can shop the number 18 collection. It's the next best thing, folks. Again, I got all these shirts. I'm about to buy my second set. My son's rocking them. It is the hottest gear. Plus, you can find some of this gear at local retailers here in the Valley. I'm hearing whispers of that. Number 18 collection, Bo Brack. It is elite. Shop it now.
I got to tell you about our friends over at Sanderson. We love Sanderson Ford. Here's how much I love Sanderson Ford. They wanted us to take some time this week to remember the late, great Al McCoy, who they are so, they loved everything he did during his legendary career there as Suns announcer, and they send their condolences, obviously, to McCoy's family, and you love it because it's focused on the right thing. I mean, 65 acres. Their facility is the largest Ford dealership in the nation. Sanderson Ford is giving you big payoffs like 0% financing for new 2024 Ford F-150s, the Escape, the Edge, the Explorer, the Expeditions. And the best part of it, if you're interested in these vehicles, you shouldn't be scared off about going down there and talking to one of their many great sales associates because they've got the no haggle, no pressure, no nonsense sales approach. They're just going to show you their great vehicles. And if you're not into, buy it at that moment, you just take a test drive and you think about it, and they'll let you come back at your own convenience. And then you make a deal when it's right for you and your family. They thrive on it. No hassle, no pressure, no nonsense sales approach. Get the deals on the 2024 Ford Bronco Sport, 5.9% APR for 66 months, which is plus $2,000. Must be financed through Ford Motor Credit. OAC. Check Sanderson Ford, the dealer, for more details.
How about some details on a premier app right now that's going to help save you money at America's Thirst Stop? What could this be? Oh, it's the Inner Circle, the free new membership program from our friends at Circle K. Super easy to download. Enter your email and phone number to be fully enrolled. That's it. There's no service fee. There's no charge. They should. These savings are elite, but they're hooking you up regardless. Save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups as a member of the Inner Circle. And then you're like, well, what happens after that? You're going to save 3 cents per gallon every single day. Circle K, elite, right now. Get your best snacks, deals, etc. Thirst, meet your match. Right now, enjoy your member exclusive beverage deal. Inner Circle members, you can get any size Polar Pop or Froster for not $1, not 90 cents. How about 79 cents? Again, any size Polar Pop, Froster. It's still darn near triple digits here in Arizona. 79 cents. Hydrate yourself. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for more details. How about some details on our trip to Miami? Right around the corner, about a month away. My friends, Bo Brack, Damon, Dawg, myself, all of our friends via True Fan Travel, we are going to Miami. Is Tua going to play? Who cares? Kyler Murray will be there in the Arizona Cardinals. Hopefully, you get that dub. October 25th through the 28th. Packages start as low as $12.99. It is all inclusive, baby, customizable. How about a premier hotel right on the beach in Hollywood Beach, Florida, right around the corner from Miami? We're going to be at the stadium. We're going to the game. We're tailgating. We got a booze cruise. We got an alumni event, all that and more. Putting the details in the show notes. You want to come hang with us? We already got double-digit people coming to this, but we want to see you there. True Fan Travel, the most elite Arizona Cardinal PHNX road trip. The best thing we've ever done at this company, point blank, period. October 25th through the 28th. Less than a month away. If you've been on the fence about it, do not wait any longer. This is your one road game you want to attend. Do it with us. We'll see you in South Beach. Baldinger joining us. Baldy's breakdowns. Johnny Venerable, Bo Brack, PHNX Cardinals. Baldy, Arizona Cardinals take one step forward against LA and then seemingly one step back against the Detroit Lions. What were your overall takeaways from a game that was very physical, but at the end of the day, the Arizona Cardinals come up short?
No, they didn't make enough plays. I mean, that's the short answer. It was a heck of a game, honestly. I mean, the hook and lateral, right there at the end of the half. Look, it was well-executed play. It's the only time it's been, you see it twice a year. They executed it perfectly. Give them credit. They got the touchdown before the half. They shut them out in the second half. They got an interception second half. They stopped them on 4 downs. They did a lot of great things defensively in the second half. They just couldn't make enough plays offensively. I thought the running game struggled quite a bit. James Conner didn't look like he did the first 2 weeks. In the run game, look, they're under, I don't know, are they on their 4th right tackle right now? You're going down the ranks pretty good right there. I'm not making excuses right here, but Kelvin's out, Jonah's out, Barton goes down. I mean, they just, it's hard when you don't know who your right tackle is going to be in the run game somewhat, but still, I mean, I thought they could run the ball a little bit better than what they showed.
Let's get more into this offense, mainly the rapport between the quarterback and his top receiver and Marvin Harrison Jr. 11 targets, 5 receptions, including Marvin's 3rd touchdown of the season. Nice little pitch and catch there. But what do you see as far as, because what I'm hearing from Marv and Kyler Murray post-practice today is they feel like they're inches away. Are you seeing the same thing between this duo?
Well, I think they're seeing the same thing. I think that some of these routes are choice routes, they're option routes. It depends on where the corner is or the safety as to whether you're going to keep going on the go route or you're going to convert it to a back shoulder fade. I mean, those are a feel. It takes time. I think they want to make it happen. I mean, we went from, one catch and 4 targets week 1 and 2 touchdowns to now a touchdown against double coverage. I mean, we're seeing some progress here, but I think some of these deep routes, like, first of all, they're a little bit low percentage, to be honest with you. I mean, you want to win your share of jump balls, but I think sometimes you can get a little greedy. I think they got a little greedy in trying to go and make these things work and force these things against pretty good coverage and pretty good corners. So I think there's a balance there. I mean, you certainly want to feed the machine. There's no doubt. But I think they could have done more from a scheme standpoint to get Marvin loose and to get him free, whether it's bunch formations or whether it's picks or rubs. I just think there was a couple things they could have done to get him freed up more than what we saw.
Cardinals play 3 teams in 3 weeks. A lot of people figure are going to be in the mix all season long. And, I look at this game against Washington, and this is a game you should take care of business if you're JG and Kyler Murray. Speaking of JG, I think the Cardinals defense, to me is the biggest surprise of this young season for this team. Giving up 15 points per game in the last 2 games, Baldy, Zaven Collins, Dennis Gardeck. What has the tape shown you about a unit that, nationally doesn't get any run? They don't have a bunch of household names, yet schematically and tackling-wise, incredibly sound, especially the second half against Detroit.
And losing players along the way. To lose Justin Jones in that game in the first half, to lose Darius to start the season. I mean, they're thin bodies up front, but they play at multiple fronts. I mean, yes, Detroit got some runs. They're a very good offensive line. There's 2 good backs. They literally carried David Montgomery for one of those scores, it looked like. I mean, they're good backs. They're going to get some yards, but they didn't give up any big plays. On the back end, they really didn't get beat. They got the hook and lateral, but Jameson Williams didn't hurt him. Amon-Ra Brown didn't hurt him. Sam Laporta did. I mean, these are guys that hurt teams. And look, I mean, Jared Goff, he didn't look great to me, and so I thought they were very disruptive. I think they changed their fronts and what they do. They played a totally different defense against, last week against the Lions than they played the week before against the Rams. So they're giving you a lot to look at. They're game planning week to week. And they're asking these guys, Dante Stills, they're asking these guys, LJ Collier, to come in there and play meaningful snaps. And, they haven't really been in that position in a long time.
When you talk about the run game with James Conner having a down performance against a very good run defense in the Detroit Lions, but was it just you got to tip your cap? They just were on it that side of the ball, or should the Arizona Cardinals have been a little quieter than I think a lot of people expected as far as running the football? What do you see, and what's the film tell you as far as them just kind of establishing the run in 2024?
They're a big power run football team. They like to run gut and get big guys on little guys on the edge. Detroit, very, very talented. When Davenport's out there on one side and, you've got, the best pass rusher right now in the league on the other side, those are big guys. They're hard. If you want to try to get outside them, those are hard guys to crack. Like, you're just not going to have any luck doing it. They're too good at it, and they're too big. So it kind of negates a little bit some of the things that they like to do. They'd love to get Paris out there on the run. They'd love to get Froholt, on some of these guts and pulls. They're good at it. But Detroit kind of, just by their size alone, Hutch and, Davenport, I mean, those are big men that are hard to basically pin and to pull. And so it kind of negates some of that success that they've had in previous weeks in some of those kind of runs.
Looking ahead to this weekend, Baldy, Jaden Daniels, Kliff Kingsbury return to Arizona. Who needs to step up for this team to get a dub? We watched them have success 2 weeks ago against LA, take a step back against Detroit. Like, do you feel like this Arizona Cardinal team can take advantage of maybe a young, impressionable Washington team coming off a big emotional win? Or are you buying this Washington team all year long?
I'm buying the offense. I'm not buying the defense at all. The defense, I mean, they've given up 9 touchdown passes in 3 games. They gave up the league's most last year. They gave up 39 last year. They're on pace to blow that away. They don't have much pass rush. I mean, it's on the offense this week. Like, you got to put up 24, 30 points. I mean, the fact is, this is unbelievable. And I still don't believe this, but it's true. I mean, 2 games in a row now against the Giants and then against Cincinnati, they have scored on every drive. Like, they scored 7 straight drives against Giants. Now, they kicked 7 field goals. So they scored on 7 straight drives. They scored on every drive against the Bengals. Like, Kliff is doing a grep job with Jaden. And it is, I mean, the guy's a good student. He's a phenomenal athlete. The deep ball down the field was an absolute dime. But he's making the right decisions. His decision-making is elite. They can run the ball pretty good, although, it looks like Austin Eckler is going to be out. That hurts him. He's the returner as well. He's an excellent kickoff returner. He started off the third quarter with a 62-yarder the other day, gave him excellent field position. But this, to me, is on Arizona's offense. Like, they have to show up, and they've got to control this. They got to keep Jaden off the field. Right now, Kliff and Jaden are clicking, and it's all working. But I mean, honestly, 28, 30 points is certainly reasonable against this defense. And if they do that, I think they can win. But they're going to have to execute offensively, because this is not a good defense, and that is not a good secondary. And so you've got to attack this team.
We certainly saw some good offensive football in their Kliff. I don't think we never saw a run like this, Baldy, in a 2-game stretch under Kingsbury. As far as the Arizona Cardinals and maybe combating that with their defense and going against JD and Kingsbury, what's important for them? What's the key defensively to slow down that duo here in week 4?
Well, I mean, this is a little bit old school. I don't know how Jonathan Gannon, and I'm going to sugarcoat this a little bit. But, Jaden Daniels is a phenomenal athlete. He won the Heisman. He's a great runner. Like these guys that are running, you got to kind of make them pay. You're going to put them in a read option, like have somebody hit the quarterback and make sure they hit them, and have somebody, on the running back. Assignment football is important when they run their read options with Brian Robinson and whoever is going to be a backup this week. Like, you got to make Jaden feel your punch. And I don't think he's felt enough of that. He's just been too freewheeling for me. And people have said it, like Kyler, was a little bit like that with, and it ended up hurting him, and he ended up getting hurt. Like these guys that want to run through these freeways with these monsters out there, they're runners. Like hit him like a running back. They get protection, but if he's not sliding, then you got to make him pay a little bit. And then you gotta dirty it up a little bit. I think he's had way too much protection. I think their offensive line, look, Wiley and Allegretti, they come from Kansas City, but Lucas, some of these guys, they're not. They're backup borderline starters. Like make them pay. Whether it's Gardeck or Xavier or somebody, like you got to hit them up a little bit in the pass rush and really speed the process up.
You mentioned buying, Baldy, the Washington offense early on this season. We'll get you out of here on this. Give me a team or maybe a unit or a quarterback that you're not buying early on that maybe is a little bit fool's gold around the NFL 3 weeks in.
Well, I'll give you an opposite. Like I think Joe Burrow is a great player. And he put up 33 the other night. Probably could have put up 40. Like they're 0-3. The defense is just ragged right now. They got no defensive tackles that can play. They're all hurt. So, like the offense has to carry. But a team that's a little bit of fool's gold right now, I guess, I think Seattle is a quality team. They're undefeated. They won an overtime game against New England. I don't think they're a great team. Like Mike McDonald's doing a good job. Defensively, it says that they're playing great defense. I'd like to see him get tested by a good offense right now and see what happens.
Make sure you check out his work, the NFL Network. Of course, follow him on Twitter at Baldy NFL. Check out those great hoodies as well. Right? Your website, Baldy's Breakdowns? Those things are legit.
Baldy'sBreakdowns.com and start ordering up that merchandise. The holiday season's coming up. Yeah, once you put this on, you don't want to take it off. That's
sure. I gotta get one for hoodie season here in AZ. Unfortunately, that's maybe a month or two away. Hey, but you're on the call this week. Gang Green, it's the Bose Show, and Aaron Rodgers, excited to hear what that goes down in that game. And, of course, we always love to see your work, NFL Network, and the All-City NFL analyst, Brian Baldinger. Thanks, man. Catch up next week.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. I'll talk to you next week. You bet.
We got our guy Baldy on the show. Johnny, we got you back here. We got you off mute. There you go. You were rolling.
I was ready to rock and roll. I'm ready to rock and roll with hold or fold the line right around the corner, Brack.
Yeah, you're going to need a shower after this one.
It's going to be gross. Speaking of gross, don't overpay for tickets. Don't overpay on third-party ticketing apps that are going to overcharge you. Okay? Cut the middleman out and go with our friends at Game Time. $20 off, Bo, your first purchase using the bonus code PHNX. What does everybody think right now? This is not good podcasting. The lowest ticket is to get into the stadium this Sunday, Cards Commanders. We're going to take a poll of the room here, Bo. You go first. Cheapest ticket right now.
$23.
Okay, Damon Dawg, cheapest ticket.
28.
$14 with our friends at Game Time here. I'm going to do $14. My bonus code PHNX is going to cover all of that with $20 off. 2 tickets at $14. Now, upper bowl for the Arizona Cardinals, but still, like I get a seat. I can go and watch the game with my wife, with my son, whomever, and it's going to cost me $14 a ticket. Best ticket price anywhere, guaranteed. And it's not just hooking you up on NFL Sunday. They've got events, they've got festivals, they've got concerts, they've got comics. We're at Tempe Improv every other weekend of the off season. Tons of deals, right? I just saw Whitney Cummings there through our friends at Game Time. Go and find out why it is the premier ticketing app, the only one that I have used since I've started working at this company and will ever use moving forward. But you got to download the Game Time app today. Go and do yourself a favor. Find out why it's Game Time with our friends at Game Time, Bo.
You love 3 straight home games and tickets through the Game Time app, but I want to get back to our home away from home, Gila River Resorts and Casinos out of Wild Horse Pass, where you can achieve legendary status on a daily, nightly basis. Yeah, just go check them out. Any of their resorts and casinos, whether it's Wild Horse Pass with us on Sunday football for away games. How about Lone Butte? Vequiva, drove by that off the 202 there, right off the freeway now. Santan Mountain, experience the best Valley has to offer. Lounge at either the AAA 4-diamond resorts. Let relaxation take charge with the unbeatable desert and mountain views. Plus, did we mention gaming? Get out there on any table game of your choice. You can play some roulette, you can play some 21. How about get to the sports book, pick some winners, get those hard tickets that everybody loves to cash when you do. Got to check it. Go big or go home a winner with our friends over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playGila.com for more details.
Love our friends at Gila River. Can't wait to get back there for our watch parties for road games beginning a week from Sunday as the Arizona Cardinals take on San Francisco. But that's not on the schedule this weekend. It is on the schedule, by the way, to hit the hold the line here on PHNX Cardinals. We've got more insight. I want to pick your brain on what's going on from an injury perspective, Bo, with this team. But before we do that, it's Wednesday, which means we're going to hold or fold the line with our friends at Bet365. We do it every week. I may or may not be a big fat offer on the season. How are you fellas faring? Damon, Dawg, you guys looking good?
Bo is now taking the lead for units with 1.25 units up. And there we have sweet Johnny with his -3. I took a hit last week, my first L of the season. Got talked out of doing Panthers money line. Took Sam Darnold to throw an interception, and apparently he's going to win MVP. So
God. At least the comeback player come back from being irrelevant.
I would have. I mean, I'm so mad about that Panthers money line. I should have taken it.
We were in unison. It was going to be a great moment for the show. We were in with you on Darnold, but that would have been a bigger, bolder play that you would have earned everybody's respect for around the office. Instead, you're just normal Damon Dawg today because of it.
People were calling me an idiot and a non-ball knower for suggesting that the Panthers could win that game last week.
Who did that?
Multiple people.
Not
I think
this show.
Derek and Kevin. Yeah, not you and Johnny. You guys. I mean, because you guys know ball.
We all we grasped each other's hands and we held them high together. We said we are on the Panthers. Did we not?
I will never hold your hand ever.
It was so obvious. The Raiders' emotional win against the Ravens. It just was really obvious.
It was the old quarterback switcheroo bump that the Panthers needed. Does anybody want to double down on Carolina this weekend? I looked at it, a bit tantalizing, but I wasn't bold enough.
Let's get bold. I'm starting this week because it's time to get gross. Get your bibs out for Thursday Night Football and saddle up at the trough because I'm going to keep my streak going here. I'm 0 for 3 on the year, but a lot of people are saying, I've heard people say this, that what I have done to start this year, being 0 for 3, may be more impressive than having a winning record, given who I'm predicting to win. I know I ripped them in the first segment. Cowboys at Giants, Thursday Night Football, one of the grossest in recent memory. I'm not a believer in the Giants. I am a believer in that Mike McCarthy could get fired after this game, that the Dallas Cowboys window has shut for good. They have no more good players. Give Dan Quinn credit. He clearly had a pulse on that defense. That defense is atrocious. It is going to be the low point of the Dak Prescott McCarthy era. They are going to lose on Thursday Night Football to Danny Dimes and the aforementioned Malik Nabers, who I like, and especially I like the Giants pass rush in this game. Dexter Lawrence, would love for him to be a Cardinal. Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns. I think what the Giants do well is what the Cowboys do not. The Giants money line plus 205. Fellas, eventually some of these gross hits are going to start hitting for your boy, and then there's going to be an avalanche of takes. You guys might want to get on this train. This is a freight train from hell. Hop aboard. Grab a seat.
Never. That is it's detrimental to somebody's physical well-being to jump on that train. No way. Plus 205. I don't care what the value is. I will not be backing the Giants with any of my hard-earned monies. Neither should anybody in the chat. I know that we held the line last week together. I will not be doing that this week. No way. Stay away from me with your stinky Danny Dimes selection. I mean, what you're outlining is what the Packers did in the final game for Mike McCarthy that got him fired after.
I was at that game. Too.
You were there. Congratulations. And when they just took it, when Aaron Rodgers and crew took a dive, is Dak Prescott like the only way they lose this game is if they take a dive? And I just don't know if they're going to do that right now. I don't think that the motivation is there.
I appreciate what you're trying to do, Johnny. I really, really do. But 10 minutes ago, saying the Giants are going to get the number 1 pick and then saying that they're going to beat a team with playoff aspirations is I can't be there with you. I'm sorry.
The Cowboys are not going to the playoffs. The Cowboys are winning like 6-7 games this year.
But they still have the ability to beat the holy hell out of the Giants.
No, they don't. No,
yes, they do.
That's the type of team they do beat.
Yeah. That's where Cowboys.
I think you guys have you guys watched
fans will jump back in and like,
are
hey,
the
we're
Cowboys
back.
I know the answer to this question. I know you guys haven't watched the Cowboys this year. They have been.
Yeah, I watched them get dismantled. No, I watched them beat the crap out of Cleveland.
Cleveland, bro. Cleveland's losing to
Cleveland, who the Giants just beat. But at the same time, the Giants are not good.
I'm not saying they are. 205 plus 205. We also have to look at the value. Okay, the value is there. You guys want to try to play in the sandbox of, oh, you think you can be a plus money homie with your boy JV? You cannot. Look at these little cupcake bets that you're putting out. Let's see this graph. I get
burning money this season.
I get you guys are.
You're throwing money into the furnace. That's what your hold the line is. It's just admirable. You taking shovels of money and you're throwing it in the furnace. And it's just
Damon. We watch the games every weekend together. Damon, I've been close on every one of these huge underdog bets so far.
Close doesn't you get your jack crap, dude. Like you have to hit.
No, I'm there. I'm right there. Sorry, I'm not taking minus 500 every week.
Here's week 1. Broncos, it was semi-close.
Okay.
Seahawks kind of handled that game. Week 2, Giants again.
Very close.
Guy loves the Giants. Which game was that? Who did they play that
Washington.
game? That's right. You probably should have won that one.
Correct.
Week 3.
Chargers were winning until Herbert went out of the game.
Johnny's the only guy that takes moral victories in betting.
I'm Monty Ossenford.
That one.
I'm Monty Ossenford. I'm here for moral victories. Do you hear me? I'm Monty Ossenford. I'm here for moral victories.
That's a slap to the face of the Cardinals GM that you would say that.
All right.
Let's move. I am on the record clearly here. I'm not holding the line with you here.
Damon,
I will also fold.
Come on, Damon. How dare you? I thought you were my brethren, my game day brethren. I guess not. All right, Damon. Talk to me about the Colts, the gross Colts.
So I'm gonna be doing what you did last week and taking the underdog against the Pittsburgh Steelers. No way the Steelers are 4-0. No way.
It'd be wild.
The Colts are at home. The Colts need a W.
No way.
Anthony Richardson has been playing like garbage. The Colts are going to win this game. Give me the home dog. I'm taking Colts plus 105.
The Colts really do seem like they're allergic to doing anything positive this year, but I'm going to do this one just wishful thinking. I can't stand the Colts of Justin Fields going 4-0. I just can't. So I'm going to do it just because I want to stand for something that is right in this world. And I will hold the line with you for the Colts money line.
But if you don't believe in it, I want you to fold right in front of my face.
No, I believe in standing up for what's right. And Justin Fields being a 4-0 quarterback is not.
Is that kind of a shot at somebody else that may be speaking on this podcast who is maybe not standing for something?
Having integrity? Yeah.
Put my face on the screen right now. Take this graphic down. I am folding this pick. Not only will the Steelers win this game, Damon, Justin Fields, I think you guys are forgetting that as much as we despise the cult of Justin Fields,
Hold on. This
the
is a guy that just
Listen
wanted
to me.
get a moral victory over the Chargers against the Justin Fields and the Steelers last week.
the karma of the Chicago Bears moving off of a quarterback that has faux success somewhere else, that's a greater, because the Bears are about to be 1-3 this week. They're losing to the Rams. And then they're going to look over. That's the football gods have declared that that's what's going to happen. That Justin Fields, in all his fraudness, is going to start 4-0, and Caleb Williams is going to start 1-3. By the way, Anthony Richardson last week in a win somehow against the aforementioned Chicago Bears threw what I think could be the worst pass in NFL history into the end zone. Threw it right at a Chicago Bears defender. He completed 50% of his throws. He was 10 of 20. He is not an NFL player. Respectfully, I hung with him in a bathroom once upon a time at a combine. He's a good guy. He is going to get dismantled this week. The Colts are a joke. Shane Steichen, bro. Shane Steichen, like we talked about it. Is he the next great offensive coach in the NFL? It's going to be, is Shane Steichen getting fired after this 5-12 disaster season? They're losing to the Steelers, damn it. They're absolutely losing to the Steelers.
Why didn't you take the Rams then if you're so confident the Rams are going to beat the Bears?
Because I like my numbers robust and I like my winnings even more robust. Plus 205. Hello.
You're minus 3 units right now.
Dabble.
Yes, they're chipping away, my friend.
David, let's see Bo's fraudulent bet.
No, hold on. So Johnny would rather take a losing ticket, just a big fat loser, plus 205.
I think they're going to win.
What is it? Plus 110 for the Steelers?
Yeah.
I mean, the Rams. I'd rather take winning over
Hunter. I don't like that. I don't like that, Hunter. Get that off the screen.
Hunter's saying for our podcast listeners, how to win free money. Watch PHNX on Wednesday. Look at Johnny's pick. Life savings, second mortgage on the opposite pick. Big win. I think also Hunter was in all caps, just a few chat messages before that, just begging you to pick against the Cardinals this weekend.
Okay, here's what needs to be stated. I am 0 for 3 in my Cardinal picks, and I am 0 for 3 on the hold or fold the line. I'm just
We have work to do to get to 60%. We have work to do.
This is the Giants are hitting tomorrow. We do not have a show tomorrow. I will do everything in my power to get this dub for everybody. The Giants.
You're going to be Cowboys. Your family's out of town. You're just going to be at your house by yourself. And recently purchased Danny Dimes jersey.
Real friends
rooting on Big Blue.
Real friends would come over. They'd watch the game. We'd get a charcuterie board, maybe some takeout wings, and we would watch Giants Cowboys. I guess find out who your friends are. Bo, put a cap on this today.
All right. I like this creamsicle orange color right here. Buccaneers money line. Yeah, I really like the Bucs this week. I mean, they're at home, fellas. They're at home against a fraudulent Eagles team that was able to sneak out a win last week that was not that impressive. And then when you start to say, hey, doesn't this series kind of have a history? And you're like, yeah, how far back do I have to go back to the last Bucs bludgeoning of the Philadelphia Eagles? Oh, not that far. How about the wild card round of the playoffs where they beat the crap out of them 32-9 against the Philadelphia Eagles? I'll take the Bucs again with a nice win as home dogs against the Eagles here. It's going to be the Fox game. Like, give me Baker Mayfield and the Bucs over Jalen Hurts in the Eagles. It seems like it's easy. Like that's how you pick, money line dogs.
I'm holding with you, but I'm going to tell you right now, that will not be plus money by Saturday. That'll be a pick 'em maybe.
Yeah, it looks like that's your hand reaching out to mine.
Chalk pick. The Eagles, Devontae Smith's hurt. A.J. Brown's not playing. Todd Bowles, his defense is elite against the run, shutting down Saquon Barkley. I think Tampa's going to win this game too.
I like it. I like a home dog, except if Johnny Venerable picks one. So I'm going to hold with you, Bo.
All right. We're all on board on one.
We're all on board with the Giants tomorrow night.
Let's fade Big Dom.
Apparently it's chalk, though. Yes, please fade Big Dom.
We
your life depends on it.
do some super chats here. Mac Daddy Fantasy, $4.99. What is a genuine concern for this team now, Bo? Right tackle personally is not for me.
Yeah. So, and I think Mac Daddy is our friend Dirtbike Boy.
The artist formerly known.
Yeah, cleaning up his username, which we appreciate. More family friendly username. Thank you for the $4.99. Calvin Beecham was back on the practice field today, and I think if you were to get Grandpa back in there, you've got some semblance of a full strength offensive line going into week 4. So he was limited according to the injury report. We only get the open portion of practice. Jackson Barton, if you missed it, was placed on injured reserve. So he started last week. He gave it everything, and then he had a toe injury, and Jackson Barton goes out for the rest of the year probably with the toe injury.
That's rough, man. Went out there and gave it his all, and then he's on injured reserve now. Yeah. Do it for Jackson this weekend. Yanks $4.99. Complete game, especially second half adjustments on O, which we haven't seen yet. Also, need Kyler bumping that new Future mixtape so we can get mixtape Kyler. I didn't know Future had a new mixtape out, but I'm with you. I think Drew Petzing's, this is a microscope game for Drew Petzing. Like you heard Brian Baldinger your Yanks early on the show, Bo. There's no excuse not to tear apart this Washington defense. They've given up 9 touchdown passes 9 times in 3 games to start this year. They were the worst last year. The worst. We don't need Johnny Rapio to tell you that.
Yeah, as Baldy said, they gave up 39 touchdown passes last year, and they're on pace to eclipse that. Like MVP type numbers from the opposing quarterback week in and week out.
Special.
Kyler Murray's got to be that dude this week. And then, as Mina Kimes told us yesterday, it's got to be a James Conner day as well. Like James Conner, this rushing attack, you get that on track, and everything else I think will follow suit. Yanks $4.99. Thank you so much for that. How about our guy? Oh, by the way, I got to tap into, of course, the youth of this program. Future good music they just dropped.
Always.
Okay. All right.
Future doesn't miss. I'll have to send you guys my favorites on the on the tape.
Johnny will be listening to it by himself,
just bumping it on the sound in the sound bar at his house.
I had the Grease soundtrack on earlier today. If you guys are interested in that.
Same vibes.
The 90s Poppy, $2. AZ gonna stomp Washington, send Kliff back to JUCO.
That's the kind of energy we need. Like, yeah. I mean, there's the fear, like, oh God, like what if they lose? But like this is what needs to be the energy for the most part. Like you have to beat Kliff and crew this week. Just take care of business. Easy dub, running away with it, and then you're on to week 5 in the San Francisco 49ers.
I encourage everybody. She asked us not to, and so we respect her wishes. Mina Kimes joined us yesterday, and you can see the entirety of the interview up on gophnx.com or on our YouTube page here on PHNX Sports. But we asked her about Washington and Kliff, and she made a point to say that Jaden Daniels is doing a lot of good things, and that she's not a believer in Kliff Kingsbury, and we are not believers in Kliff Kingsbury long term. And so she also asked us not to clip that for social media, which we respected her wishes. But had she not said that, I would have put that everywhere. It would have been on every social media avenue. But the point being, Bo, that this is a little bit, we've seen it. This is fool's gold. Kliff, he thrives in September. Jaden Daniels is doing a nice job. As Jaden Daniels in November and December under Kliff Kingsbury, I think could look very much like how Kyler Murray looked in November and December under Kliff Kingsbury. Like you can't trust him to make the necessary adjustments. And the Cardinals need to play ahead of schedule here and really put the kibosh on this whole thing. Enough is enough.
Yeah. Just get the win. Let's take a look at the last super chat we have here. Our friend Loso. Good to have Loso back in the field. Yes. We need to use cap money to shore up our problems.
I'll defer that to my co-host here, Bo. How do you feel about that?
Just don't. I mean, where are you going to go? What's going to be good use of your funds?
I'm sorry,
Reddick? Yeah, you're pulling off a deal for Son Reddick. Well, look, win a game this weekend. that helps you. You go 2-2 and you start looking forward. You say, hey, we like where we are. We're encouraged through 4 weeks of football, but we could use a little help to continue the pass rush and how it's created negative plays. We're 2-2. Monty, what do you say? We've done our job through 4 weeks. But if you lose, I'm not giving away any assets for anything.
Well, they don't deserve it.
Right.
It's a double-edged sword. Are they not good enough because they didn't spend the money that they had? Or are they not good enough because they're not good enough, right? Can't have your cake and eat it too. That's a perfect transition, Loso. I'm going to ask my co-host something. So Hassan Reddick is set to miss his 4th game for the New York Jets. In your opinion, Bo, will Hassan Reddick ever play it down for the New York Jets?
No.
I don't think so either. I think they're gonna sit him out all year and he's just gonna be a free agent and they're gonna look dumb because they're the Jets and they're big time dummies, or they're gonna trade him and try to get something for him.
Mm-hmm.
But the Jets schedule is such a joke. Like I think the Jets are gonna remain viable, unfortunately, for a little while. They have another joke of it this weekend.
Right. Yeah, they should take care of business. Baldy on that call against the Denver Broncos. So yeah, it should be. If they don't, we'll see what they do, because that would be a tough loss. If Bo Nix and crew can beat a couple teams that have expectations this season, Bucks, and then now the Jets.
Like, what would you give up for Hassan Reddick? Now we're almost into October. Would you give up a 4th round pick for Hassan Reddick?
I think just because the market still remains for teams that would take a premium position player to add to their roster. Like, I think that it gets high just based off of supply and demand, and they can drive the price up that way. But I don't think they can get up as high as, recouping what they sent to the Eagles.
Well, because you missed a month of the year. They traded for him with the expectation he was going to play a full 17 games. I also think, like, fair or not, no one has seen him. No one knows what he looks like. Is he in? You could trade a 4th round pick for him. He could show up out of shape. Now, I don't think that's going to be the case, but like you had him in the offseason where you could do a physical. He could be a part of your training camp. Like, I don't know if there's a better chance now he just doesn't play all year and then, like, he's a free agent. The Cardinals could sign him in free agency outright.
Like, you've got aggressive teams. You've got teams that have shown that they're aggressive, and you've got, a Bears team, and you're saying, okay, we're going to open up Hassan Reddick. We're going to put him on the trade market. And, like, people will say, hey, we're not going to pay a day 2 pick. And then there's going to be the competitiveness for teams to get in and supplement their pass rush. Like, if Ryan Poles and Monty Ossenford are vying for the same guy, are you willing to pay the price to get the job
I think
done?
you have to save face at that point. Bears are going to be where the Cardinals are going to be, though. I think Cardinals are going to have a much better record than Chicago. Is a big time loser this year. They're not winning games this year.
But I don't think they have a good sense of who they are. Like, I don't think they've been off on where they are organizationally for the last 3 to 4 years.
Yeah. I almost feel like if you're trading for Hassan
Where's
Reddick,
MP, by the way? Where's he been? Miss him.
Quiet times. If you're going to trade for Hassan Reddick, you almost need the Jets need to give you permission to, like, host Reddick on, like, a visit to make sure everything's like kumbaya and you're good to go.
Well, he's going to have to take a physical.
Right.
If anybody acquires him, he's going to have to take a physical. And then he's going to have to get up to football speed.
Yeah. I think they're going to probably, if they trade him, they're going to get probably like a 5th round pick for him, because he's going to miss at this pace, like, at least a third of the season, right? As he gets ramped up. Like, if they traded for Hassan Reddick tomorrow, like, is he playing against the Niners? Probably not. He probably needs, like, at least 2 weeks to get ready. So I don't know. It's interesting. You love to see the Jets flame out and crash and burn with that. And the Cardinals are going to get a boost from Darius Robinson regardless. We didn't talk too much about Justin Jones, but Darius Robinson is a shot in the arm that's real, that's coming next week. You got to get through this game without Big D-Rob, and then he's coming back to, I think, reclaim this, outside of Marv. He was the most impressive rookie easily the Cardinals had this training camp.
Yeah, I mean, outside of Marv, it's been a quiet 2024 rookie class. I mean, you're still trying to get Max Melton incorporated in the defense, and you're
he's
seeing
flashed
him.
at times.
Yeah, he's flashed. You've seen some good tackles from Melton. Tip, we know what Tip's role is. Still catchless through 3 games, but
No
see if he
surprise
has a potential increased role. I think that's all going to belong to Higgy Bear as far as catching the football. If Trey McBride can't go, did not practice today.
Do you think he'll play?
Trey?
He's got to practice tomorrow,
man.
right?
Yeah, like when we talk about Melton, like Melton was in concussion protocol a couple weeks ago, and on Thursday he was wearing the yellow jersey that week, non-contact, and then Friday he had the non-contact jersey off. He was in his normal practice gear. That's the kind of thing you're looking for Trey tomorrow, and it's possible. I mean, there's not much to report there as he just remains in the protocol. And then you've got, kind of a little bit of a longer injury report than anticipated. Like Marvin Harrison Jr. showed up on the injury report today. It came out after we talked to him, so we didn't know to ask him about his quad injury. I wouldn't expect it's an issue. I wouldn't expect Dennis Gardeck being limited by a finger issue to be a problem. Buddha had a quad, and it's probably what he suffered and had to come out of the game for a little bit in the loss. But Tunga and then did not practice with a knee today, and then you've got Jones already out. Like we're starting to see the defensive line starting to deteriorate a little bit. We didn't have a lot of room to lose anybody.
Need those reinforcements one way or the other if you're mining Austin for it. But to your point, you got to get a dub this weekend. Make them earn it, right? Because then, I mean, as much of a layup this should be this weekend, things get tough again. On the road in San Francisco, got to play the Green Bay Packers, a well-coached Charger team, and see what happens with the Jets and company and the Miami Dolphins. So very pivotal week for the Arizona Cardinals, their head coach and their quarterback, and we're going to have full coverage of it continuing throughout the rest of this week en route to Sunday. We've got, of course, good stuff coming up on Friday, our preview show. Craig Morgan's going to join us, and we're going to give you the lowdown on where things sit with the likes of Trey McBride and company. But in the meantime, hit that like, subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube, Bo, and check out the many workings of our talented peers at GoPHNX.com, including Craig Morgan, dropping his most recent content. Double dipped on articles earlier this week. Those are free to read right now, Bo.
Yeah, GoPHNX.com. Working on a great piece before the end of the week. He was out there at Commanders practice at Arizona State today, talking to Jaden Daniels. And then tomorrow, talking to Kliff Kingsbury at Commanders practice. So even though no show tomorrow, the coverage does not stop. I'll be at Cards practice giving you updates as far as Trey McBride, some of these other injured Cardinals, and talk to Buddha Baker and some of the Cards in the locker room. So make sure you're following along at PHNX_Cardinals, at Bo Brock, at Craig S. Morgan, and at Johnny Venerable, at Damon Dawg. It's another content-filled Thursday, and of course Friday, the preview show. Can't wait for it.
Big thanks from our guy, Brian Baldinger. Drop a like, helps circulate the show. Drop a comment, and make sure you're subscribed to your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. It's PHNX Cardinals. Bo?
That's right. Vibe check, Damon. We talked about this yesterday. Series finale, Diamondbacks. Snakes, they need a dub.
Like we need oxygen to breathe, though. The playoff odds have dwindled from about 93% to 53% in 3 games.
Prayers.
It's now become a coin flip. And it's pretty much all on Zach Gallen's shoulders tonight. If the D-backs lose this game, Zach Gallen on the mound, your ace on paper, versus the Giants' worst pitcher in their rotation, it is officially time of death over.
Galentine's Day.
It is.
Zach Gallen, once upon a time, took this show to the woodshed back in June earlier this year. Maybe we should rekindle that magic. I don't have anything to do tonight. Go over to Chase Field. Are they at home, by the way? And then
they are at home.
Reclaim that magic of the 999 because Zach Gallen looked unhittable that day. Just throwing that out there, gentlemen.
Yeah, you couldn't lock in. You couldn't lock in on such short notice.
I couldn't. That took me days of fasting to mentally prepare for that.
Against another Bay Area team. Who knows, man?
That's true. Well, good luck. Damon Dawg, we're going to catch you on the post game tonight. Regardless, hit that like, subscribe. We're having our biggest month to date. That's because of all of you. For Damon, Dawg, Brack, I'm Johnny Venerable. Big thanks to Baldy. We're back on a Friday. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.